Hey, what's going on? Off to work. Gotta do a couple pickups and drop offs really quickly. This is a hot topic for me anyway. This is a topic that interests me, which is why I'm gonna talk about it. Ginacarano, I hope I'm saying her name right. Carano, The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. She's been fired for making comparisons to a sensitive group. She, from what I've gathered, because I don't know much about her, but from what I found out within the last couple of days, she has conservative views and she talks down on vaccines and mask wearing and things of that nature. I don't know her comments specifically, so I won't really elaborate and go on to something that I don't really know. But from what I gather, the left is definitely opposed to her, to her views. And from what I'm also gathering, they were looking for reasons to fire her. And basically what she said was, the way conservatives are being silenced and the way conservatives are being attacked by citizens, not even just the government, but just by fellow citizens. She said it's reminiscent of how Jews were being attacked by their fellow citizens during the Nazi Germany regime. And the thing is, if you look at it from an objective standpoint, you can understand where she's coming from. But here's the problem. Man. We live in some sensitive times, man. And a lot of times when you're trying to get your point across, if you make an example, I'm not gonna say it's the wrong example. An analogy is an analogy. She's using hyperbole. She's exaggerating. But the problem is, a lot of people don't have the mental fortitude to really digest and understand what it is that you're trying to say, or they just only want to get stuck on the example as opposed to trying to understand the idea that you're trying to convey. And I think part of what comes into being an effective communicator is understanding your audience and knowing that and saying the right things so you don't turn the people off unless that's what you want to do. I'm a stand-up comedian, right? Now, there's certain words, certain slang, certain phrases, if I use them in different places, they won't be understood or people will react differently. I'll give you a prime example. Up in Connecticut in the Hartford area, we say mad as an exaggeration. And when I say mad, I mean yo, this cat got mad skills. He mad, you know what I'm saying? He mad big, he mad this, he mad that. It's to add emphasis on whatever it is that you're describing. It's an adverb. Is it an adverb? Or whatever. I don't know about the grammar. Anyway, but if you try to do that, if you try to say mad, you know what I mean, when basically adding emphasis to whatever you're saying, like down south or out west, they won't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yo, I'm mad hungry. What you talking about? You're mad hungry. So you're mad and you're hungry at the same time? No. Down south and out west, they say hella. You understand what I'm saying? Now, if I'm trying to run some jokes and I said, yo, I was mad tired, and I'm doing it down south, they don't know what the word mad means when you put it in front of some shit like that. They know it if you say hella. The point I'm trying to make is you have to understand your audience and you have to know the right things to say if you want what it is that you're saying to be fully appreciated and understood and not be canceled. And that was her problem, man. Sometimes when you use hyperbole, your entire message is lost. I remember a couple of years back, someone akined being an NFL player to slavery. We're being treated like slaves. And I thought it was a poor example because slaves weren't really compensated for what they did. Their compensation was a hard-ass bed and some moldy cornbread. You know what I mean? And occasionally you might fuck a white bitch on the low that has a dick fetish, a BBC fetish. You know what I mean? But sometimes, like, we use examples and we're just not realizing the backlash it might cause, even though it might be a plausible example. And the thing is, Hollywood is run by the left. Hollywood, I mean, some of the most powerful players within Hollywood, I won't say most of them or all of them, but a good amount of the powerful players in Hollywood are Jewish. They're very sensitive to what their people went through 60, 70 years ago. They're extremely, and rightfully so. So when you have a person that aligns themselves with what Jews or people that have been oppressed view as being oppressors, they're going to have a problem with that if you align yourself to their struggle. If you try to use them or their people as an example of the struggles that you claim that you're now going through. So I can understand why she was canceled. And then her boss is a Jew. I don't know. I don't know if John Favreau. I think he's Italian. You know what I mean? But Hollywood in general is run by Jewish people, or they have a very strong influence. You know, and Hollywood in general leans towards the left. So the person that leans towards the right, that's conservative, is essentially victimizing themselves. They're gonna have a problem with that. They're gonna cancel. Period. And that was her issue, man. She could have used different examples. Like I gave an example. Western Conference Finals 2002, Sacramento Kings. I don't remember specifically everything that happened, but I know like the Lakers, they were getting like a lot of different calls, man. It just seemed like it wasn't fair towards the Sacramento Kings. She could have used like a lot of different situations and examples to kind of express how she feels that conservatives' voices are being suppressed and the conservatives are being canceled over bullshit. You know what I'm saying? And conservatives are just being treated unfairly. There's a whole bunch of different examples that she could have used without using Jewish people, without using Nazi Germany and Jews from that time period as a comparison. Because as soon as you make the comparison, and I hate this because this shit always happens to me, you make a comparison and they perceive it as you saying it's the exact same thing, and like, no, it's not the exact. All she was saying is she feels like shit is unfair. Shit was unfair for Jews back then. But all she had to do was just say shit was unfair. But sometimes you use an example or an analogy so people can really understand where you're coming from. But the only problem with that is if you use something as sensitive, like comparing something to 9/11 or comparing something to women being sexually assaulted, you know, and it's not specifically what you're going through, people are going to have a problem with that, man. People are going to have a problem with that, and people are going to act accordingly. And if your bosses are influenced by the left and the very people that you're comparing yourself to, and ideologically, politically wise, they are in stark contrast to what you believe, it's going to be a problem, man. It's going to be a problem, and that's what happened with her. Like, that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about how we've essentially been wearing masks for the past 300 days, right? And COVID numbers continue to get worse. Whether you want to say enough people aren't wearing masks, blah, 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 for the most part, wearing masks in the United States is a commonality. I would say 80-90% of people are wearing masks, yet numbers are still increasing. You can't attribute 10% of people not doing something to numbers still increasing dramatically. Like, logically, that's a fucking logical fallacy. That doesn't make sense. And then you have Biden wanting to have a mask mandate for an additional 100 days. And I'm like, yo, we've had a mask mandate for the past 300 days, and most people are following this mandate, and shit is getting worse. So apparently, you know, the mask mandate, it has to be something beyond just the mask mandate is what I was trying to say. And basically what I said, not even basically, what I said was, that's like you getting like some type of chemotherapy treatment for the past 300 days and it's not working. And not only is it not working, but you continue to get more sick. So why would you do that same exact treatment, right, for 100 more days when the past 300 days there was no success? And the thing is, I use a cancer analogy, and there are people like friends that I know on my friends list who are going through or who have had who are going through cancer or who have gone through cancer, right? And they were just real sensitive. What are you trying to say? You're trying to compare masks, wearing a mask to cancer? And I'm like, no. But see, that was my fault because they just saw the word cancer, and that's the only thing they stuck to, and they just totally missed the point I was trying to make. The point I was trying to make is, if you're doing something a certain way, right, for 300 fucking days, and that method or tactic isn't working at all, then why would you continue to use that specific method for 100 more days? Why not try something different? Why not explore something different? I didn't say don't wear masks. I didn't say stop. I'm saying let's explore and promote other things. That's all I'm saying. But people just got caught up in cancer. That's all they got caught up in. They got caught up in that example. But then when I used different examples, I was like, okay, fuck cancer, which people say all the time. I said, fuck my analogy of cancer. If you going to the bars and you're using like a certain pickup line, the same bullshit ass pickup line for 300 days, and you don't bag no bitches. As a matter of fact, bitches start smacking you. You know what I mean? And then you talk to this pickup artist, and he was like, you know what? I know these pickup lines, you ain't get no pussy with this pickup line, and bitches kept smacking you. But you know what? I want you to continue to use that same bullshit, tired, lame ass pickup line for the next 100 days. That would be stupid. Like, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, the same exact way, and expecting different results. So maybe we need to try something different. And that's all I was saying. And then once I switched up the analogies, then the person was like, oh yeah, you know what, I see what you're saying. So sometimes like the analogies and the comparisons that we use causes our messages to be lost. And that's all I was saying. I wasn't getting on if what she said was right or what she said was wrong. I wasn't getting on her politics, you know, as far as her rightist politics or things that she said about masks. I don't even know nothing about it. I know she's a diesel woman, and I like strong, masculine-looking women. That's my weird fetish, and I would definitely clap her diesel cheeks. But that's not what I was talking about. And it's funny, if you look at my last post where I was talking about this shit, I was like, yo, watch. I said, I guarantee you there are going to be people that attack me, right, and attack her, but not attack the idea that we should be more tactful if we don't want our messages lost. And right on cue, somebody hopped on and said, yeah, because what you believe is stupid, and what she said is stupid. And the studies show that masks have efficacy, and vaccines have been trial tested, and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yo, what the fuck does that have to do with me saying that we should be tactful with our examples? That don't got, like, whether you agree with my mask politics, my vaccine politics, and hers as well, whether you agree with that or not, what the fuck does that have to do with me saying if you don't want your message to be lost, to be more tactful in what you say? What does that have to do with it? It has absolutely nothing. But see, people, they use posts that draw attention and that get traction as an opportunity to stand on top of these soapboxes. And I'm the type of individual, you know, if we're going to debate about a topic, if it's on topic, I'll talk about it all day. But when the post has nothing to do with that topic, has nothing to do with that idea, right? When I have plenty of posts where I talk about those things directly, and you never hop on, you never say shit, you never say anything, you just watch from the shadows and you're building up your anger or whatever, why the fuck you gonna hop on a post and try to debate some shit that I'm not even talking about? You can't debate that. You cannot debate that people should be more tactful if they don't want their messages lost. How could you debate that? You can't debate that. I don't give a fuck about Ginacarano. I don't give a fuck about what you feel about my politics. Not in this specific conversation. I don't give a fuck about that. But I do have a problem when messages are lost. Well, I do have a problem that people have an inability to grasp analogies and get caught up in the words and the semantics. I have an issue with that. But as stated before, I'm a comedian. One of the main things about being an effective comedian is knowing your audience and knowing the right things to say so you don't turn off everybody and they can understand what it is that you're conveying. I totally get that. I totally understand that, man. And you just gotta stay in your lane, man. She's an actress. She's a former MMA fighter. She's a former professional fighter. The verbals isn't her forte. She's out of her lane. You know, a lot of these celebrities, they always take political stances, man, and they aren't that articulate, and they aren't they aren't as skilled in the area of debate and conveying their ideas. So it's best they keep it to themselves. I don't know shit about MMA. You said I got Victoria's Secret gloves. Nah, these are runner's gloves, man. These junks is real good for the winter. I don't know shit about the MMA. You know, I don't know stuff about combat sports. So I'm not gonna start making posts about different fighting techniques and strategies and things of that nature, because that's not my lane. But when it comes to logic and when it comes to comedy and just conveying ideas and using analogies and things of that nature, that's my lane. So I'm going to talk and express I have the ability to speak and to express myself. And that's all I'm saying. Whether, should she have been canceled? No, she shouldn't have. You should have a right to express yourself and express your political views. But you got to know the right examples to use, and you have to understand who your bosses are. You know your bosses ain't going to rock with that shit, so why would you express that? You know what I'm saying? It's like, I have white bosses, right? You know what I'm saying? If I was like, I got white bosses, but then I go around talking about white devils and white devil this and oppression and white devil that. You know what I mean? Just using the devil as an example. Like, there's ways I can talk about oppression without saying white people and devil. You know what I mean? And the fact that she just wasn't really conscious of that, that's what cost her job. She could have used like 1,000 different examples, man, to avoid that what she's going through. But we just live in sensitive times. She's been expressive about her political stances, and you shouldn't be canceled because you lean towards the right. If that's what you want to think, that's what you want to believe, that's what you believe. I think America was a lot better when people just pretty much kept their politics pretty much to themselves, and the only way that your voice was heard was through voting, and whoever got into office is a reflection of how people voted. But when you start just talking about politics out in the open and stuff like that, that's what just causes more division. There's just certain things that just really, if you don't want like arguments and confusion and static, man, it shouldn't just really be discussed publicly. But that's just the day and age that we live in, man. But right on cue, I told you people was going to attack me. I told you people was going to miss what it is that I was trying to say. I was not talking about her politics. I was just talking about the idea of using more tact to avoid being canceled, and motherfuckers still miss that shit. You want to debate me on my ideas about the vaccine and all that shit, blah, blah, blah. Yo, you can ask to be on my podcast. We can talk about it, or like actually go back to some of my old posts and comment under those posts, and I got no problem with talking about it. But I'm always going to stay on topic when it comes to my topics, man. I'm not going to stray off that shit, man. Period. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, did she deserve to be canceled? No, but she brought it on herself. You're in a Jew-dominated society. You know, you're in a left-dominated society, and you are basically painting yourself as the victim from the 1940s, run by descendants of victims from the 1940s. That don't fuck with you or rock with your kind, your type. So she brought it on herself. Learn how to be more tactful, people. That's my message. Just learn how to be more tactful and suffer the consequences. Ginacarano is a prime example of that, man. But if she had a little more tact, she'd be fine. But that's all I have to say. Gotta get to work. I will holler at y'all. # everybody need more green. Deuces.